Victoria, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And let me start with the question about general perception of the war among Moldovans. How do they see this whole situation?
Yes, thank you very much for this question, because I think that it is one of the most relevant ones, how the public is perceiving the situation in Ukraine. And definitely they are very worried about what's going on in the region in general, but of course in Ukraine particularly, because I think that in the 21st century, nobody was thinking that the war can be possible. And definitely nobody was thinking about the fact that a war is going to come and to be so close to our borders. So definitely what happens to Ukrainians is something that affects Moldovans. First of all, taking into account that a lot of Moldovan people have relatives in Ukraine. They are used to travel very frequently in Ukraine. And now with the war, everybody gets frightened, first of all, about their future, about the fact if the war is going to affect them directly as well. And definitely everybody understands that this will have repercussions on the socioeconomic situation of the Republic of Moldova. But if to go more into details, I think that the first thing that Moldovans have felt is solidarity with the Ukrainian people.
Well, of course, all of us here are stressed. The war is very close to us. The reaction of Moldovan citizens and the society was quite remarkable, in a sense that there was a great joint effort to respond to this humanitarian crisis that was provoked by the war on Ukraine by Russia. Moldova is now providing refugee and shelter to over 120,000 refugees from Ukraine. Almost half of them are children who are running from this war. This is an unprecedented, basically, humanitarian crisis for Moldova. But both Moldovan authorities, but also society, business, has very much consolidated itself in this effort to provide support, and also at the same time reconfirming our solidarity to Ukrainian people who are fighting today in this unprovoked war by Russia.
Let me ask you a little bit more about the refugees from Ukraine that come now to Moldova. Moldova is a small country. It's 2.5 million population, and it's based on per capita. It has the highest number of refugees from Ukraine, and it's also quite a low-income country. So how do you manage? And who provides the support? You mentioned already the population, the general, willingness of people to help, but also are there any, coordinated efforts? And is there any assistance coming from the West, maybe, to Moldova to help with that?
Well, I would say from outset that Moldova indeed is a very small country, but with quite a big heart in that sense. The capacities of the authorities are quite limited, and that is a very big constraint. And as I said, this effort in managing the crisis is very much complemented by civil society, business, voluntaries. There are over 3,000 voluntaries enrolled in providing the support in this management of the humanitarian assistance. Of course, we have the international support. We have the reinforced team and office of UNHCR, who are basically managing the process in cooperation with the authorities and the voluntaries and everyone. There are, of course, other UN agencies that come in and provide not only logistical or managerial support, but also humanitarian assistance. That is also relevant to our development partners, international partners of Moldova, EU, US. Everyone is, and not only Turkey, China, by the way, as well, Japan, all of our partners, international partners are basically contributing to this effort. And we all realize that this refugee crisis has not only to be managed in the short term, in the short run, and to provide shelter, housing, food, psychological, social, or medical assistance, but it's also about medium to long term, basically, implications. As I said, almost half of the refugees are children. So this is very much about providing also educational services, social and health for the long run.
So as I mentioned earlier, also Russian troops are stationed in Transnistria. Do you see a possibility that they will be deployed for the war in Ukraine? So far, we also know that the de facto authorities in Transnistria resisted or tried to send signals that they want to distance themselves from the war. But how much leverage they have in this sense? Is it possible that the troops will be used?
Yes, indeed. The fact that in the Republic of Moldova we have Russian troops, and we are talking about a number of approximately 1,500 people. Of course, this is a sign which is quite worrying, taking into account that this military could be enforced in case that it will be needed for the Russian Federation. But at the moment, we have no sign that these troops will be used in the war with Ukraine. You mentioned very well the fact that the separatist leaders in the Transnistrian region have mentioned the fact that they are not going to get involved in anyhow at the moment, but you never know what the situation might be tomorrow. So this is why at the moment we can talk only about the situation and the way that things are undergoing today. And definitely today we see no interest, but also no willingness of the military in the Transnistrian region, but also of the separatist authorities in the Transnistrian region to get involved. We must mention also the fact that by now the Transnistrian region also had a very comfortable position, taking into account that they were dealing economically and trade-wise with the European Union. So this is how, in one way or another, they also have been integrated into the European market. The authorities in the Transnistrian region understand very well what might be the consequences of potential implication in the war in Ukraine. This is why I think that for them now it is important to keep calm and to offer refugees a possibility to find shelter in the Transnistrian region, but definitely not to get involved in the military conflict in Ukraine.
How do you see the security situation in Moldova itself? Is Moldova facing a Russian threat? Is an aggression against Moldova possible as well?
Well, at the moment, we have no signs of a potential military Russian threat in the Republic of Moldova. Of course, Moldova is facing different kind of threats, but also very sensitive situations when it comes to its relationship with the Russian Federation, taking into account that Moldova is very much dependent on the Russian gas. And you know that before the conflict in Ukraine started, Moldova faced a really critical situation and in its relationship with the Russian Federation when it negotiated the gas supply for the winter period for the Republic of Moldova. The price is increasing quite a lot. But anyhow, in terms of military, at the moment, as I mentioned, there are no signs that there might be a military aggression in the Republic of Moldova from the side of the Russian Federation. Even so, I think that the Republic of Moldova, security-wise, now is thinking a lot about how to ensure on its security. And of course, here I have to mention the neutrality status of the Republic of Moldova. Definitely, we have to think about different types of security: energy security, climate security, environmental security. There are food security as well. There are different types and elements of security that Moldova has to focus on, and not necessarily think only about the military aggression that might emerge, which at the moment, as I mentioned, it's not something that could be possible in the Republic of Moldova.
You mentioned Moldova's neutral status, and you also said that, of course, people are worried and shocked about what's happening in Ukraine. Do you see that this situation, the war in Ukraine, might prompt Moldovan society to opt to abandon the neutrality and maybe join some military alliance like NATO, like Georgia and Ukraine are aspiring?
At the moment, this is not a topic of discussion because usually NATO in Moldova did not have such a large popularity, if I can put it this way. But definitely, I think that people are now thinking about security of the Republic of Moldova in other terms. But now, I think that most important thing is that Moldova is thinking about, in terms of authorities, but also ordinary people, is how to overcome the refugees crisis.
So Moldova formally applied for the European Union membership along with Georgia on the 3rd of March. What does this formal application maybe change in the immediate future? What are the plans now? You also signed a letter to the EU presidency saying that this accession process should be actually adapted to every specific country, Georgia, Ukraine, and Moldova, according to where they stand right now. And for Moldova, you said that a comprehensive reform strategy for the next 5 years should be set out by the EU. What do you mean by that? How can it be achieved?
Well, first, the effect of the applications already there. We have seen last week the Versailles EU summit has formally invited Commission to look into the applications and to formulate an opinion, which technically by Treaty of the European Union means that the assessment of the applications and assessment of the possibility of providing to all three countries the status of candidate countries have been activated. So technically, the process has started in the European Union. Politically, we're not there yet. We're not there yet because EU has not sent a clear political message, a clear political decision to recognize our European perspectives, just like EU did in 2003 at Thessaloniki summit after the war in Western Balkans, when all Western Balkan countries got a clear European perspective. Croatia is a member of the European Union after 10 years. Other countries from the Western Balkans are in various stages of integration and accession to the European Union. Some are negotiating already the treaty, the accession treaty. Some have a candidate status. Some have still are in the process of meeting the conditions for getting that status. So yeah, technically we are there. Politically, we're not there yet.
I think that for Moldova, this status of candidate for EU membership also means fast track in overcoming all the problems that Moldova has inside the country, because this will mean speeding up the reform processes which actually already started. And I think that this will give both the authorities but also the population that feeling that they are doing something in order to reach a certain goal. And that goal would be the EU membership.
we understand that disinformation is a very concrete risk, and this is happening today. We aim to spread panic. We aim to incite for destabilization, because Russian proxies are here, even though they are silent at this stage. But they're here and they use rumors, social media, Telegram to spread this type of disinformation. And even though the local broadcasting companies have stopped to retransmit the Russian content, we have many TV stations that are retransmitting Russian channel, First Channel, NTV, STS, TNT, Russia channel, all them have stopped rebroadcasting of propaganda type of news or information analytical TV shows. All that is stopped. But still, like online is there. There are a lot of resources which are used, like, I don't know, Sputnik. Sputnik has been stopped here in Moldova. But still, there are other websites or accounts which are trying to spread that. And authorities are monitoring that. They are imposing sanctions and restrictions to limit, to secure the information space, especially now. But they are not only always managing to be preemptive enough, or to react on time to fight the disinformation. They're improving. They created, for example, a special official source Telegram account where people get information in 2 languages, Russian, Romanian, about official information, countering disinformation, news, and so on and so forth. So what we did, we realized that the authorities in this very difficult situation will need to be somehow complemented with the media, independent media, civil society effort to monitor the information space in the country. So what we managed to do in the second day of the war, basically, we gathered a bunch of activists and communicators, organizations, media, and we got together and decided to launch a campaign. We started a campaign called Stop War Campaign, a civic initiative, Нет войне. That is the hashtag of our campaign, again aiming at monitoring and fighting disinformation, but also trying to build on the cohesion in the country, trying to limit any attempts to dividing the society, and supporting the Moldovan citizens' effort at the same time in providing the humanitarian assistance to Ukrainian fellows who are running from the war.